sponsor.
Just like Arch
No
Manning.
free ad. No free advertising.
I'm just trying to be like Arch.
It's alright. If an energy drink actually gives us
That'd be
a
dope.
sponsor, then he can put it
Yep.
in something
Mhm.
else. But until then, he's
Yeah.
allowed it. That's not
That's
right.
right. We'll just blur it out.
Yeah.
Post editing.
Yeah.
Post production editing.
Arch Manning, future Browns quarterback.
I hope I never get to that point where we're not even through
Looking
the
at
2025
this
draft
draft.
and we're looking at the 2026, maybe the 2027 draft.
Probably the
The Steelers might be
2027.
doing that already at quarterback. So.
Hey.
Listen, don't reach.
Hey man, you reach, they teach.
Thanks.
I mean, it rhymes. I don't know.
It's a basketball term.
Oh.
Yeah.
Basketballism, I guess maybe would be a better way to describe it. So,
Nice.
welcome back to the Second Detroit podcast, where the
Ooh.
entire playbook is open. I'm Josiah.
I'm Jacob.
Now I'm Hayden.
And for those of you who like to listen to audio only, the link for the Spotify will be in the description.
All right, let's start off with some exciting news. Not NFL news, podcast news. Next week, we will be doing a live stream, the Second Short Draft Spectacular, if you may, the second annual. Will be a live stream on YouTube. Time to be determined. Probably gonna be kicking off 7 o'clock Eastern time for all of our West Coast listeners. Which, by the way, this is off topic, but my ADHD is kicking in. A kid came up to me at church and said that he really wants to start listening. So we have to go back to the
Pick up our game.
the PG rated. Yeah, this kid's like 4th grade.
What are you talking about?
What do you mean? What are we talking about?
Call the show. I'm 8.5.
I mean,
F Naples. But all right, back on topic. Live stream on YouTube, 7 o'clock Eastern time. We're gonna do a mock draft. There's gonna be 5 of us. 5 divided by 32 divided by 5. That's around what, 7 teams. Some of us are gonna get 8. And we're gonna be doing a mock draft for those teams. It's gonna be a 2-round mock draft similar to last year. So we shall see. I'm gonna do the teams here after we're done recording. Gonna make sure, Josie, you requested the Steelers. I gave him the Christian last year since he was leaving. Naples, you of course will get the Browns.
big Browns guy.
And then we'll see. If Hunter was gonna be here, he would have gone the Ravens. Everybody else is kind of up for grabs.
Is Eli in?
Eli will be here. He won't really care who he gets because
I
he
also
doesn't
would
care
like
about
the
anything.
Titans and the Giants,
Okay.
so I can make the first 3 picks of the draft.
No. We should give Eli the Titans.
Ooh.
So then he doesn't take a quarterback with the first overall pick. Because he said he won't. Like, he won't take a
Then
quarterback
let
in the
Naples
first
get Cam Ward.
with the Browns.
Hey.
It's a thought. It's a thought.
Still would probably take Shador.
We would
Hot
definitely
take.
pigeonhole Eli there. Because it's like he's going to be the first pick.
Yeah.
There's not much parity about that one.
I don't know what he. I
Unless-
think there's a chance he would still.
There, I'd say there's about a 5% chance the Titans shock everybody and take Hunter or Carter. About a 5% chance. I'm not ruling it out because they could just be all smoke and mirrors. Who knows? What if they trade back?
Yeah.
What if the Browns or Giants trade up to 1?
I don't know. I think Cam Ward at 1 is the only lock that we have so far this year. Everything else is kind of like we don't know who's going.
I think the number
2
2
through
is
19.
pretty close to a lock.
You see, but you don't know though.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it still could be Abdul Carter.
It still could be Shador. It really could be.
I'm out on that one a little bit more than I have.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I am starting to get the impression that Travis Hunter is probably going to be the pick. However, it's not unlike Andrew Berry to have like smoke and mirrors, or like unlike him to like the Browns. Nothing gets out. Like there's not like insiders reporting from inside the Browns or like anyone getting to. It's like it's pure speculation. Like there's no like other sense. Like that's one thing that you can say about our organization that we've done well since the Andrew Berry regime is like it's lock and key on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like you don't know.
I feel pretty sure about the first 3. I think, which then that excites me because then 3 Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau all of a sudden becomes available. And
Does he?
Like Jalen
Yeah.
Ramsey.
They paid Byron Burns. What are you gonna do with 3 pass rushers? That team stinks. You upgrade.
What do you do with 3 pass rushers? You keep them fresh and get after the quarterback.
If you're using the 3rd overall pick and then you're paying Brian Burns close to $30 million per year.
And also nobody had the Miami Dolphins like mocking them on a corner. But now with trading Jalen Ramsey, the likelihood of that just shot to like 80%
Yeah.
that they're going to take a corner in the first 2 rounds. Like,
Will Johnson, if he's there.
yeah, absolutely. So like, things are changing so much so quickly, just within days. So, it's interesting. It's a different perspective than it has been in the past like 3, 4, 5 years since I've been following the draft like really closely. But
because there's a lot of like good players,
mm-hmm.
not a lot of like oh my gosh players.
Mm-hmm.
There's like maybe 3.
Yeah, the best way I heard it described was there's a lot of round 2 and 3 guys that should have probably gone like in the beginning of round 2, but the first round guys are also going to be a lot of second round guys.
Yeah.
Second half of the first round through round 4.5 are going to be second round, third round guys.
I mean, I'm out on this draft class. I'm trade.
So you're thinking about next year?
Back.
Trade
No,
the
I'm
regular
thinking about the regular season. Trade back. Get,
F them picks, trade them.
All of them.
Collect an army for Arch.
Yep.
Stockpile them up for 27.
All right, so we're going to keep the theme that we've been doing the last month. We've had some fun with some drafts, looking back at draft classes. We're going to be drafting a team off of the 2025 prospects. We're going to do 1 quarterback, so each of us will come away with a quarterback, 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 1 offensive lineman, no discrepancy for a center, guard, or tackle. 1 front 7 player, because we don't want to start an argument about what an off-ball linebacker is versus an outside linebacker, and then 1 defensive back that can be a safety, corner, nickel, whatever you guys want. So, we also do not have to draft the same position all in the same round. I know we've done that with a couple drafts to throw a nice little wrinkle in there. We're not going to do that this time. Naples, I'm thinking you should get the first pick since your team picks first. Obviously you'll have some options. Do you go Cam Ward? Do you go Ashton Genty, Travis Hunter? And then Josie, you can have the second pick if you want.
It's definitely
the second pick. So.
Definitely an interesting spot to be in, because you kind of set the tone for where these picks might start to go. You also got to take in mind, like, I don't know all of your guys' thoughts and opinions, but I do have to take what I do know into account on where I feel like you might draft, so it kind of changes where I might go. But I think, the gap, one of the largest gaps that I feel in the draft from number 1 to the next is receiver. So I'm going to take Travis Hunter with my first pick and put him at receiver.
That would have been my number 1 as well.
I just think the gap between him and whoever you want to put it to, whether it's McMillan or Abuka or Luther Burden or whoever it might be, I think that gap for how I view them is probably the largest. So I want to go ahead and separate myself in that category.
Sure.
Although I do love some of the receivers later in this draft.
Yeah. I think along the same thought process is, you're looking at the drop of Shedeur Sanders right now. We have no idea where he's going to go. Jackson Dart was a 2nd or 3rd round guy. We don't know where he's going to go. But you look at the second quarterback in this draft, it's going to be Shedeur Sanders. And if he doesn't go in the first round, that means there's only going to be 1 quarterback taken in the first round. And he's probably going to be taken with the number 1 overall pick. And so to me, I would say that gap in my mind is probably the biggest between 1 and 2. Because you think about starter-ready quarterbacks in this draft, it's like one of the two of you is going to have to take either Shedeur or somebody else. And it's like Cam Ward is very clearly the starter. I think I get the clear starter, the number 1, who is quite a big gap between him and number 2, kind of similar to what your thought process.
No, I definitely like the pick. I was thinking about Cam Ward, but I'm thinking about it more from where do I view these guys and how do I think that they'll turn out, rather than where do I think they'll actually go and where they'll be mocked at, right?
Oh, for sure.
So I think I like Shedeur. I'm a Shedeur guy. Whether he goes to the Browns or not, I think he's going to have success in the NFL. I think Cam Ward has the higher ceiling, and I'm fine whether it's him or Jackson Dart, honestly, or maybe even Jalen Milroe in the future. We'll see how this draft plays out. I think that there's some interesting picks to go at the quarterback spot.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that this one too, just one final thought with that is that I completely lost that thought, so skip me and go again. Never mind. It left my mind.
Interrupt me if you come back to it.
Are we snaking back? So is he going to go double?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Naples, I'm setting it up for you to be very happy about your team. My opinion differs greatly on the running back values. Ashton Genty's being labeled as this generational prospect, which I think is ludicrous. I think that he's a very good running back, but I think that we've fallen in love with the hype of the running back again. We think that, oh, look at Saquon Barkley. Guess what? Not every running back Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry. I think Ashton Genty should be a first-round pick, probably top half of the first round. But
Top 10.
depends on the team fit. Do I think he'll go there? Obviously, I think 6 is probably where he goes.
That or the Cowboys.
Do you think that's the earliest he goes to 6?
Yeah.
I think so.
No
90%.
one's trading up to top 5.
What about New England?
No chance. They have too many other needs
I
on
like
that team.
Ramondre Stevenson. I think the Patriots like Ramondre Stevenson. So
Well, I just think that you put Genty there, like, their O-line's not good enough. Like, to what kind of... yes, he will make a difference, but, like, as far as other needs on that team, like, they need someone to throw the ball, or they need someone to catch the ball. They need someone to block for Drake May.
I think it depends on what you view him as.
Yeah,
If you
no, for
view
sure.
him as Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry, then you do it. But if you
look, I think Vrabel also has a similar mentality to Bill Belichick in that you slack a little bit on your offensive weapons and you invest in the O-line and you invest in the defense. Because like under Bill Belichick, we've talked about this before, it's like they never had worse than a top 10 defense and they never had worse than a top 5 offensive line. And basically the entire time Brady was there. And if you look at his picks, obviously they weren't his picks. He wasn't the GM when he was in Tennessee, but like they're very indicative of that.
Yeah.
So I think that I tend to lean him away from going Ashton Genty and more towards something in the trenches.
I mean, I don't think it's likely. Will Campbell's who I've had them mocked, but I do think that the team's improved. But Genty, like I said, and I think he's a good player, but I think that there's just this aura around him where everybody's fallen in love with it, and it's the popular opinion. Like, oh, he has a unique running back stance. Oh, he's a big name running back that goes to a group of 5 school. Like, it's easy to fall in love with those things. He looks like a freaking rock with his shirt off. Like, all of this different stuff. I think that it's very telling that he refuses to run a 40 time.
Is this monologue going to him not taking a running back, or is he going to take a different
I
running
think
back?
that's Ashton Genty.
It's a really deep running back draft, so I feel like we could all get him.
No.
I mean, I'm fine with any of the top 3 running backs that I have, like, in my mind.
So I'm not going Ashton Genty. Shocker.
I know who he's going to try to get later on, but it's
Yeah,
not gonna
yeah,
finish him.
yeah. But I mean, there are other guys, even if I don't get them.
Yeah.
With the 1 pick, I'm going to go Abdul Carter
Yeah.
as my
Smart.
front 7 guy. Arguably the best player in the draft. Right now, I do
There
think
was
he's
no
going.
chance of him coming back to me.
Oh yeah,
Abdul.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
not.
And then I'm going to go tight end. I'm going to go Tyler Warren. The dude's a monster with the ball in his hand. It is a very deep tight end class.
Yeah.
I feel like I've said that the last 3 years, though, so maybe I'm just higher on these tight end prospects than the actual league. But Tyler Warren and Abdul Carter, I'm going with the Nittany Lions.
Some good picks.
Yeah, there's a couple ways that I could go with there. So there's a couple of players that I specifically want, but just based on your most recent pick, I think there is a drop off significantly between tight end 1 and tight end 2 and everybody else. There's some good players, obviously, but I have Cam Ward, a mobile quarterback can move around in the pocket, probably going to be leaning towards throwing the ball, so I'm going to get a receiving tight end, probably one of the better route running tight ends that we've seen in quite a while, in Colston Loveland, who we haven't seen his peak, but big body, agile, kind of like I don't even know how to describe him, like a young Travis Kelce with his like route running and his agility and things like
Brock
that.
Bowers, he's more like
Yeah.
Tyler Warren. What makes him special is what he can do with the ball in his hands. What makes Loveland special is what he does to get the ball in his hands. So.
Yeah, exactly.
No, for sure. I definitely like the pick. I mean, if he came back to me, I was probably going to take him. So I mean, he wasn't coming back to you if you.
That
if
was
you
my
left
thought,
that
is that he was going to take him.
So I mean,
Gotta
I do
be
like
Genty,
I do
right?
like a couple of other guys. Genty's tempting.
Genty falling right now.
I will let the Genty thought sit for one of my picks. And with my first pick here, I think I'm going to go Mason Graham, the best interior front 7 guy,
If he was still there.
coming back on that end. I just think that the difference, since we're doing one front 7 person, I think the difference that he'll make on the inside compared to like the next edge rusher is probably greater for, like, he's probably just the best there, so I'm just going to go ahead and take him. This is interesting because you guys both took tight end, so I don't have to take tight end until my last pick.
Yeah.
He already took Cam Ward, so I'm probably not going to take quarterback till like my second to last pick
I don't
or
have to
something.
take front seven until my last pick.
Yeah, so yeah. It's interesting. I don't know. I do love a lot of the running backs, although Genty is tempting. You know what? Man, give me Will Johnson. I think Will Johnson is a stud. I really I think a lot of people are sleeping on how good he's actually going to be just because he only played 6 games at Michigan this year. But we're talking about a guy that would have been a surefire top 4, top 5 pick in last year's draft after the year that he had it with that Michigan team.
Am I tripping? You said Will Johnson, right?
Yeah.
Will Campbell is the
Will
tackle.
Campbell's the tackle guard from
Yeah.
LSU.
Yeah.
And I
He's
said
going
Will Johnson,
the corner
Yeah.
from Michigan.
I was tripping. You're right.
Yeah.
Both great players.
Yes.
Yeah, but Will pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't think Will Campbell's the best O lineman in this draft, so
Who do you think?
you'll find out if he makes it to me.
Hmm.
Hey,
I'm
I
just
mean,
trying to
I don't
think
think
who
I
you
don't think it's unanimous, but I am
Yeah.
a pretty big Will Campbell.
So your 2 picks were Mason Graham and
Will Johnson.
So I go 2 Penn Staters. He goes 2 Michigan Wolverines.
OH though, by the way.
oh, that's 3 Michigan players in a row because Colson Loveland.
Oh wow.
Should I make it 4?
Who would be the next guy? Is there
Donovan Edwards.
Hey,
Kenneth Grant, the other D
I
tackle.
don't have to take him till my last pick.
Well,
Is
I
he
mean,
gonna be the last pick?
do you want to make it 4 Michigan players in a
No,
row?
no, I can't reach like that. Not if I can get him with the very last pick of
with
this
the
draft.
20 with the
What's
21st
the
pick, Steelers
basketballism?
select
What was the basketballism?
reach.
Oh,
UT.
reach,
you
you reach,
teach.
I teach. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple ways I can go with this. So, I mean, Genty is still there. It definitely wouldn't be a bad pick. The wide receiver class is kind of, again, a lot of second-round guys, in my opinion. So I don't think I'm going to reach for anybody quite there yet. Plus, there's like probably 3 guys I'd be comfortable taking at wide receiver. O-line, I do like the idea of taking Will here with this pick because of his versatility. His arm length doesn't scare me at all. If he falls in the draft, somebody's going to get super lucky. Maybe he'll be part of our sleepers later because people are sleeping on him because of his arm length. DB is an interesting one because obviously Travis is already gone. Will's already gone. Well, I guess you took Travis as a wide receiver. But I think I am going to go Ashton Genty here, stop the fall. I just think that the thing that separates him from the other players in this draft is he seems to do everything pretty well. He's strong enough to be a power running back. He's got some breakaway speed. And I think the thing that separates him from basically everybody else in the draft class is his receiving ability. He didn't really do it a lot this year, but just he has a very reliable set of hands. I think that he can be a third down running back, and he's not just an explosive playmaker like a Travion Henderson. Jeez.
Yeah.
He's not just a power back like a Quinshon Judkins. He's not just a power back like an Omarion Hampton. Like, he does everything really well, and so that's why I think he's my pick here.
I'm in a pickle. So
you got 2
You
picks.
got 2 picks.
I know I love my 2 picks so far. No problem with that. My problem is where I stand compared to the rest of the draft community is very different. The next quarterback would be Shedeur Sanders. I like Sanders, but also I think that Dart's right there with him. And then I'm also wouldn't be afraid to take Milrow and this kind of thing just for shoots and gigs. Running back, the next running back is Omarion Hampton. I'm not as high on him as other people.
Agreed.
The next wide receiver available is Ted McMillan. I'm not as high on
He'd
him.
be our
as
first.
other people.
No, sorry, I'm second. I keep doing that. The Travis Hunter.
Oh, yeah.
I forget he's like, okay, people take him out when they say, oh, the best wide receiver in the draft.
He's
is
just a
this
football
They don't
player,
even
yeah.
say his name.
Yeah.
The best O-line, I mean, there are a lot of linemen that I like. Josh Simmons out of Ohio State, I think, is a top 10 talent. There's just a lot of other issues which may cause him to fall later. I'm going to go Will Campbell for my 1 pick because that's the only one I feel confident about. The next DB, I mean, Jahdae Barron is a little bit more of a nickel, so maybe not him. You got Malachi Starks, you got Xavier Watts. Those are good safeties. It's a reach, especially with Hampton on the board.
Is it Travion?
Yeah, I'm going Travion. I like.
Travion.
I thought about doing a
It's my
last
boy.
second switch up, but I don't know. It seems high, especially with Genty just going 2 picks ago. But I'm that high on him. I think
Yeah.
Henderson's worthy of a first round
For
pick.
sure. Which leaves Mr. Josie here
Mm-hmm.
thinking about what he's gonna do. Tetero on the board still.
He is, which is a very interesting one because with Colston Level not being the best blocker in the run game,
Yeah.
you could kind of counteract that a little bit with a big
Yeah.
body like a Ted McMillan.
Could.
I think it's interesting how far Genty fell. I'm not saying you guys agree with my take on him, but I think that you guys agree more than what you would have initially thought.
Yeah,
with
I
how
just
long
think-
he was on the board.
Yeah, I mean, I just think like in something like this, running back, one, isn't a positional like high value position, but two, it's also like a deep running back class. So like trying to fill out a roster is like, and we yeah,
different.
exactly. And we kind of talked about it like with our first 2 picks, like what of these positions do we think have the larger gaps to where like if I'm taking so with my first pick, do I think the drop off is there to where like if I took Genty, I feel just as good about the success of like 3, 4, 5 other running backs right after him.
Which is, I guess that to me that means he's not a generational running back, which he's being labeled as.
I mean, I think he is, but I just like there's so many other like if like you take Genty out of this class, or like let's move all these running backs, right? You put any of these other like running backs, like a Hampton or a Henderson, or even like Judkins or some of these other guys, you put them in a different draft class, like they're still first round like grades, like they're still high prospects. I just think the year that Genty had was like special, so that's why he's obviously ahead of these guys. But these guys are great too.
Yeah, no, for sure.
We bought you some time.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah, so obviously I had a little bit of time to think about this one.
Mm-hmm.
I still have wide receiver, O-line, DB, and then my last pick's going to be front 7 because, again, I have free will to pick whatever I want there.
Yep.
So I think my next pick, because I have 3 players in mind for the picks that I want,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the player that would go next in that would be O-line, and the player that I want being Armand Membu out of Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he is a plug-and-play guy. He starts day 1, and he's a 10-year starter from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the kind of guys that you want to take in the first round. He is a guy, I think, that take draft class out of it. Like, look for the next 3 years. Armand Membu will be a first-round pick for the next 3-4 years. Like, he's one of those guys that transcends just being in a bad draft class.
And he's a guy that's a no-brainer tackle. Will Campbell,
Mhm.
he's a tackle, but also it wouldn't be surprising if they have to kick him inside the guard with the shorter arms.
Yeah.
I
I mean, there's a chance that Armand Membu goes, he might be the first tackle taken in this draft.
I like
Yeah.
the Jets getting him at 7, pairing him with Olu Fashanu out of Penn
Yeah.
State last year.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like the pick for sure. I do
Was
like
that your
Armand
number
Membu.
1 lineman?
Is not my number
Okay,
one
so
lineman.
Naples is going to get his.
So I am going to get my
top
number 1 lineman. I do love Josh
I was gonna
Simmons
say
a
he's
lot.
Ohio State guy.
However, give me Kelvin Banks. I think that you
Like
put this guy in here,
Mm.
you won't hear his name on Sundays.
I mean, I like the pick.
He is like, just go watch the tape. This dude didn't get beat. Like, they had all day to throw at Texas, and it showed. Like, they had one of the more dominant passing games all year. I think that he's going to be just an absolute unit for whoever drafts him, and he's going to fall a little bit because of the injury, but he's going to be a day 1, like, surefire tackle. Whether he play, I think he'll probably play right, but he could play left. It depends, like, where he
Depends on who
goes.
drafts him,
Yeah, it depends on who
yeah.
drafts him, but
I like him going to the Niners right now, playing
Yeah.
right at the beginning, and then once Trent
Yeah,
Williams
and moving
retires,
to left.
flip him over.
yeah, I think that could definitely be good. Now, I'm in an interesting spot. So you guys both took running backs, and you both took tight ends, which means quarterback's going to be my next pick because I don't have to worry about the snipe. And you know I'm a big Shador guy, so we're going to go ahead and take Shador Sanders, pair him up with his Colorado buddy, Travis Hunter. I think we're going to get that dynamic connection with this, hypothetical team. Both their jerseys getting retired at the spring game, by the way, just to touch on that. Don't know how valid that is, but they are getting retired at Colorado, so the 2 and 12 are cemented forever now.
Yeah.
Travis Hunter, Shador.
College football's weird with retiring jerseys. Like Saquon's 26 isn't retired. Tim Tebow's 15's not retired.
Yeah,
They've
that's
had like
wild.
2 quarterbacks in the last
Yeah.
2 years at Florida wear 15.
Depends on the program, I guess. I just
Ah.
think Colorado was so bad
Laviska Chenault's the only Colorado that I can think of really. Buffalo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
like
can't think of another
they've been
Buffalo
so
player.
bad to have like just the little. They didn't even have a ton of success.
Mhm.
They just had a lot more than they've had. To
In
where
2
like
seasons.
yeah, in 2 seasons, right? So like
Which, granted, they were like the worst Power 4
Oh, yeah.
team, and
Oh,
so
yeah, no doubt.
the turnaround was crazy. But your points, they
Yeah.
made one bowl game.
exactly. So like they didn't do anything like historic other than like Travis Hunter like playing both sides of the ball at an elite like level to where if he was just doing one or the other, he'd still probably be a top 3 pick regardless. So I think that plays into it. However, like and I think Shador broke all the passing records, which isn't hard to do at Colorado, but still, I don't think I would personally retire their numbers because I think it's more of a Coach Prime shifted the culture. Yes, those guys helped for sure, but I think that he had a lot more to do with it. So like turning around the program.
Sure.
Still love both of them.
I mean, Travis, I feel like there's a little bit.
Yeah.
Travis has a Heisman. Shador, I feel like
Yeah.
it's a little Mickey Mouse.
Yeah,
so-
for sure. But I mean, Dion's son who's there turning around the
Yeah.
program.
Nepotism. He's a Napo baby.
But either way, one of those 2 Colorado guys, maybe both from what I've been hearing, will be a Cleveland Brown come draft day. So either way, I'm going to be excited. Honestly, it's 50. I'm about 50-50 excited right now because I was like quarterback. Like I don't want to go into this season with Kenny Pickett or even now Joe Flacco. Like I don't want that to be the situation. However, we get Travis Hunter. This all stems back to my original plan. Be bad this year. Let's get Arch. Let's hope he comes out.
Hunter and I were talking about this earlier today. It's like if you take Travis Hunter at pick 2, and then Shador falls, and let's say you call the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 19,
Or the Falcons.
who
at
and
15.
it's a team that would definitely trade back.
Yeah.
That doesn't have any pressing needs so desperate that they need to select at 19.
yeah.
They're only moving back 13 spots, which is they're moving back to basically having a late first round pick.
Yeah.
You move up, you take Shador Sanders, you
Yeah.
match up Travis Hunter and Shador
Yeah,
Sanders.
I've heard that a lot. I think it's interesting. I've heard a lot of takes with this. If it is pretty set in stone that he's not going top 3, no team's trading in the top 10 to get him.
Unless
Because
the Saints.
because unless you really think the Saints are taking him. However, I think if the Saints do take a quarterback at 9, it's probably going to be Jackson Dart, just because of
even if Shador's still on the board.
even if Shador's on the board. And I think it was either, I forget who I was listening, I think it was Todd McShay was talking about it. He said, if Shador and Jackson Dart are both there at 9, why would Kellen Moore not take Jackson Dart when he fits more of the model of the offense that he wants to run? Everywhere where Kellen Moore's been.
Yeah.
Dak, Hurts, Herbert, bigger guy, mobile, can get out of the pocket. Like, that's what he likes to do. That's what he's had success with.
Sure.
So why would you, not that Shador's tiny, but he's 6'1",
Slimmer frame.
yeah,
not
slimmer
as
frame, doesn't like, he doesn't just take off and run like Jackson Dart would. Like, there's a case to be made that if they're both on the board, the Saints like Dart better.
Yeah. Yeah, I the more I think about it, the less I think the Saints are taking a quarterback.
Yeah,
I think that
agree.
I think that if both of them were there, they wouldn't be able to choose between, and then they'd be like, all right, let's take best player available.
Yeah, they
because
could.
let's be honest, at the 9th pick,
There's
it's
some,
likely that
there's
neither
some
one of
really
those is going to be
good-
the best player on the board.
Bro, there's
They
some
have
so many
serious
I mean,
talent.
look at those linemen that all 3 of us
Oh
just
my
drafted.
gosh.
At least one of those, maybe 2 of them will be available.
100%.
There's a chance that Tyler Warren will be there.
Yeah, and you need to get younger on the defensive front and less expensive on the defensive front. So like
They're in cap
there's
hell right now.
there's way too many needs for the Saints to take a quarterback at
Yeah.
the 9th pick, in my opinion.
And I think the Derek Carr stuff's just smoke. Like I think they're perfectly fine trotting Spencer Rattler out there.
That's wild.
I think
you're not
they're
wrong.
I think they're perfectly
Carson,
fine. with it.
bring in Carson Wentz.
Sure.
Tank for Arch.
Bring
him
in.
back home. Bring him back.
I
home.
mean now there's smoke saying that Aaron Rodgers might go there
Why?
because Derek Carr's out and they need a quarterback and he can play in a dome.
Who's he gonna throw to?
Olave and Shaheed.
Olave is gonna be out for the season.
And
after week
Juan,
3
and shout out
concussion.
Jawan Johnson, dude. He's an absolute
I like
dog.
that.
So I think that there's and Kamara's still there. It's like it's not like they don't have weapons. Depends how you feel, but like
the
Olave's
Steelers
here-
aren't a great team. The Steelers are a
Weapons
way better
way better.
situation.
Oh,
They're
I'm
way
not.
better
I'm not saying they're
weapons.
not a way better situation. I'm just saying like it's not like
But I think the
It's a
Steelers are like a
terrible-
mid-tier like situation. So if they're way better than the
The
Saints,
Saints are
yeah. Think about division though too.
yeah,
Aaron-
that is the one. Point.
Aaron Rodgers goes to the Saints. Tom Brady went to the Buccaneers. They made the playoffs at what 9-8 the one year, not the year they won the Super Bowl, but the second. It's like he could pop into the Saints, make them a 10-win team. That's playoffs. That's probably the division. I do love Baker's Bucks, but that's still probably the division.
No.
Josie, I want to update you on your Colorado Buffaloes alum. It's pretty weak.
Yeah.
There were a couple guys that we're going to hit ourselves for not knowing. Aquila Witherspoon / Cordell Stewart went there.
Yeah.
Who else? Don Hasselbeck, who actually just passed away. But to be honest, I only know him because he just passed away, and that he's the dad of Matt Hasselbeck.
Yeah.
Nate Solder, friend of the show,
Nate
is
Solder.
Colorado.
friend of Cooper's, actually.
Yeah. There was one more. I think that there was only like one other like half relevant guy. But
And honestly, like those guys are the ones that are currently in the NFL. Like Aquila Witherspoon's known for getting stiff armed by Christian McCaffrey and then standing up and trying to jaw at him. And then Laviska Shenault is basically just a return guy at this point. So it's like
Slash is the only one where I'm like, oh, like he might.
if he would have been
be
in today's
worthy of
NFL,
this.
he would have been so much looked at so differently.
In fact, I feel like Colorado's. Oh, Chidobe Awuzie. Also.
Oh, okay, that's a solid
David Bakhtiari.
one. Oh, that's a really good one.
But I mean, still
He
for
was
a power
undrafted, though.
for a power 4 team.
Yeah, no, David Bakhtiari was undrafted and turned himself into a top 3 tackle in it. David Bakhtiari.
He was the 47th overall pick.
We just did this last week. Whenever we were doing the
Fourth round pick. 109th. I was looking at.
I don't know.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I stand corrected. All right, my pick.
Yeah, here we go. Back to the draft.
All right, so of the 2 positions that I have left to pick from, because I do still have front 7, but again, update that.
Do you guys, other than your front 7 pick, do you guys have the same 2 gaps, DB and receiver?
I have DB, wide receiver, and then quarterback.
Oh,
I have
yeah.
DB, wide receiver, and front 7.
So it'll be interesting to see which one you attack here to.
I think we're on the same page about wide receiver. DB, there's a little bit more variation. I think we like the same wide receiver, right? Not to help you out, but
I mean, so
I don't love him either, though. That's the thing.
I'm going back and forth on the pick here, but you saying that kind of makes me want to pick wide receiver here because there is a guy that I like more than. So basically, the 2 picks here in my mind would be Ted McMillan or Emeka Egbuka.
What about
personally.
Luther Burden?
Luther Burden's up there. I just think that and the reason I'm going to take this pick here is because I want one of those specific guys. I want to make Egbuka. And the reason for that is because he's big body. Yes, they say he's kind of built like a slot receiver. He has really good hands. He has good enough speed. I don't think that his 40 is any indication of anything. Like game speed and running speed and 40 speed are completely different.
And I think his route running gives him extra speed because
Absolutely.
it creates that separation.
He is humble enough to play wide receiver too, but I think he has low end wide receiver 1 capabilities. Maybe even mid-tier wide receiver 1 capabilities. And the thing that I love about him most is he's a leader on the teams that he's been on. I don't know if you guys saw the little snippet that they put up from the national championship game, but on a team where you have Will Howard, Jeremiah Smith, you have Chip Kelly as your offensive coordinator.
Both the running backs.
And Emeka Egbuka is the one that made the call at the end of the national championship game for Jeremiah Smith to run that go route. Because he pointed out that, hey, he keeps jumping this route. Hey, he keeps doing that. So that not only shows ball knowledge, but it also shows he spoke up in a huddle with the best offensive coordinator in college football and a quarterback who, say what you want about Will Howard, they were in the national championship. So,
no doubt.
Like, I think that Emeka Egbuka's leadership and his ball knowledge elevate him above the others.
Yeah, I love Ibuka. And you talk about, like, imagine if Ibuka didn't have Marvin Harrison at Ohio State at the same time. Imagine if he didn't have Jeremiah Smith at the same time.
T. Higgins and Jamar Chase.
Yeah, like he'd probably be putting up insane. He'd probably be a top 15 pick if he didn't have his numbers. Not even that he had bad numbers, but like they would definitely be a lot more inflated if he didn't have so many other really talented wide receivers there.
Yeah, I'm big on Emeka Egbuka.
I love Ibuka too.
So I'll get my quarterback out of the way now. So DB technically is the one I should pick here first, because like that's the one where I could get preference. The other 2 don't really matter. However, there are a lot of DBs that I like. So I'll kind of let you guys make my decision for me on DB. At quarterback, though, I'm going to go Jackson Dart, my favorite quarterback in the draft. I thought about getting cute with Jalen Milroe just because I do believe he's the most talented quarterback, but also I think that it's going to take a lot for him to reach anywhere close to that talent. His floor is also the lowest. Wide receiver is interesting. I feel like the guys that you're going to get in the third and fourth round are just as good as you're going to get in the first and the second. Shout out to Kyle Williams out of Washington State, Savion Williams out of TCU, both Iowa State guys, and Jalen Nolan, Jaden Higgins. Isaiah Bond is a bum. Jack Beck, who
There's no way you just said Isaiah Bond's a bum.
he's,
It's crazy.
he has not done a thing.
High on Isaiah Bond.
There are three guys that it's going to be between Matthew Golden, who probably has the highest ceiling, Trey Harris, a big play deep guy, and then Luther Burden. I'm going to go Luther Burden just because, similar to Will Johnson, Burden, if he would have come out last year, would have been a top 20 pick. This year, he's a fringe first rounder just because his numbers were basically cut in half. He went from 1,200 yards to 600 yards. But I'm just a fan of Luther Burden. Trey Harris, I don't think you can go wrong with any of those three. Golden has the highest potential, but I'm going to go Burden.
Heard that.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Crazy that Tetero undrafted.
Yeah. He just...
to be honest, I forgot he was there.
to be
But
fair,
I
Tom doesn't scare me.
To be fair, yeah.
It doesn't scare me. Like, again, I just said that, like, with Emeka Egbuka, it doesn't scare me at all, but, like...
I just think he's so one-dimensional.
Buka can separate.
Like, I think Tetero is just your X guy, and he doesn't have much on the route tree.
He's a prototypical X.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that there's like Luther Burden, I think, can play all three. Like, he could be the X, the Y, or like the Z, the slot. Like, he knew it all. I think Ibuka's the same way. I think that there's a lot of guys who I think as just an X receiver, I think Tetero's like the best of them. But I don't think he really gives you the versatility that you need from your receiver sometimes. Like, kind of like DK, right? DK's really good, but there's not a lot that DK does outside of playing the X.
Yeah. I mean, when they put him in the slot, he'd go right down the middle of it. Like, I forget where I saw that, but I think it might have been right after he got traded to Pittsburgh, where they're like, they need to do this in Pittsburgh.
Move them around more.
Yeah, move him into the slot. And if you have Pickens and DK, you can do that with both of them because they can both do that.
Yeah.
Where they run up past the linebackers, cut into the middle of the field, and if you're playing too high, guess what? Middle of the field's wide open.
Yeah, for sure.
What are the...
Well, they don't throw to the middle of the field, so...
You're not wrong.
So, I have DB left. What position groups do you guys
I
have?
have DB in front seven.
I have running back and tight end.
Nice. Okay, great. So I'm not going to go front seven. I already said that. Even though neither one of you has DB left either, right?
He is DB.
I have DB.
No, you DB. Okay.
Yeah, because remember, I was like, I technically should.
But
I
either
don't.
way, you'll pick both yours before he gets to go.
And I don't know that this is the guy that you were going to take anyway. But it's a guy that I'm really high on. I've actually seen him murmured about going 21 to the Steelers.
Starks.
It is Starks, yeah.
Yeah.
So is that who you would have taken?
No.
Would have been up there. I
He
really
likes
like
Watts.
I like Barron and Watts
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah,
And
and I like
Barrett
John.
says,
I was gonna say I like Jahdae Barron too, but like you said earlier, like he's kind of a slot guy, and like there's some versatility as far as guys who have kind of a more slender build in the NFL now with like Sauce Gardner. Like Sauce Gardner in the past would have had to have been a slot receiver because of his build, right? Like your prototypical X cornerback is Pat Surtain, is Jalen Ramsey, right? So like his frame again doesn't even scare me. I just think that as far as like ceiling, I think Malachi Starks' ceiling is like incredibly high.
Unfortunately.
I think top 5 safety in the league is like his ceiling. Like I know it's
There
high.
are so many good safeties.
There are so many, but like you look at the fact that he came in as a true freshman and became Georgia's starter. He won the starting job as a true freshman and started for Georgia for 3 seasons. He went to a Peach Bowl, won a national championship, and then went to an Orange Bowl. And like this year was kind of an off year for Georgia compared to what they have been over the past half decade or whatever you want to call it. But he was a consensus All-American in his sophomore year. His measurables aren't insane. So, like, I do think that he's the clear number 1 safety in this draft. Some people are really high on him and worry. I think the hype's a little much on him and worry. Personally, I think he's the top of the second round guy, to be honest with you, in my opinion. Some people have him going, like, in the middle of the first round. I'm like, that's way too high for me with him and worry. But, like, I could see Malachi Starks going in the middle of the first round, and I think that's exactly where he fits. Again, his 40 is like a 4.50. It's not
That's
great.
good enough.
It's
That's
good.
For
It's
a safety,
absolutely
that's
good enough. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
His vertical jump is 33 inches. Again, not
that's
insane.
corner. He's undrafted.
What'd you say?
If that's a corner, though, I'm not drafting
Yeah.
him.
I mean, again, if he's a corner like this, we're probably talking about
Yeah.
him as a third, fourth round guy.
I was making
Yeah.
a 40.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, and the tape's the tape.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
like you
absolutely.
watch him
Yeah.
play, like the measurables can be whatever they are, but like you watch it, right? You see it.
Yeah. He's 6'1". He's 6'1". He's 200 pounds. He's 6 foot and 7/8 inches, and he's 197 pounds. Like
No.
that's exactly what you want out of a safety.
Best landing spot for him, and there's two landing spots for him
Ravens.
I think that are the best. Or the Ravens is one, and unfortunately, I just feel like that they're gonna get him. It's just how it always works
Seems
out.
like
They
an Eric DeCosta
they
thing.
always get whoever like
Him and
is like
Kyle Hamilton.
you just look at it and be like, oh my, how did we let this happen? I said the same thing when they got J.K. Dobbins, even though the injuries like kind of plagued J.K. Dobbins' career. Said the same thing with Nate Wiggins. Said the same thing with Kyle Hamilton.
They got
said
Kyle Hamilton and Tyler Linderbaum, arguably
Yep.
the two best at their position in the same draft
Yep.
class.
Said the same thing when they got Patrick Queen.
I was
Right?
heartbroken by
Like-
Nate Wiggins last
Like,
year.
dude, like they
I was
get
so
they get
mad
all
at
these
Nate
Hunter
guys.
wasn't even excited. Hunter's like,
know.
whatever.
That's crazy. And the other landing spot, the Buccaneers, pair him up with Antoine
Ben
Winfield, let them fly around. Like I think that makes a lot of sense.
See, I saw him mocked to Pittsburgh, and at first I was like, but then I started to think about it more. It's like it gives you so much more versatility in your secondary
Yeah.
to move one of your safeties down. Like
Move him
let's
and
be
Minka.
honest, Minka in the slot would be a top 5 slot corner in the league still. And the argument last year was you need to be able to move TJ Watt around on the line. You need to be able to move your best players into different positions to open them up to get them
Yeah.
around the ball. Why can't the same thing be said for Minka Fitzpatrick?
Yeah,
you
sure.
bring in Malachi Starks, he fills a role in that secondary. You move Minka down, you move
Elliott.
Deshaun Elliott down. Like it just gives you so much more versatility. I love the pick personally. If he's there at 21 for the Steelers to take him or Kenneth Grant, that's where I'm at. So
Roger that. I got a back-to-back here. It's going to go pretty quick. I'm going to take Amarian Hampton as my running back. Very happy about this pick, getting him with like basic ipso facto my last picks. I think he's, he does everything you want as a running back, 3-down back. I mean, he has good hands. He can pick up pass pro really good. Another guy that I think is going to be really underrated is Quinshaw Judkins. I think he's just as good as Travion. And they do a little bit of different things, but I think Quinshaw Judkins, amazing pass. Think about Ezekiel Elliott, like what he did at Ohio State. Insane pass protector, knows how to pick up, like is really good blocking, like and has sure hands, like just like Zeke did at Ohio State. Like gonna be really good wherever he goes. Like he's gonna be one of those guys that is just like 8 years down the line and he's still outbeating whatever rookie running back they bring in because he's just that good. Like he just provides a lot more to the team than just like obviously his running ability. But I am still taking Amari Hampton. They're just gonna hype up Judkins a little bit. Tight end could go a few different ways here. I think all these guys are pretty much in the same kind of tier for me, and it's that next kind of group of Mason Taylor, Elijah Arroyo, the dude from Miami, and then Harold Fannin from Bowling Green. I've seen Harold Fannin mocked to the Browns a lot, which like they're all pretty solid. I think I'm gonna just go Mason Taylor though. Son of a legend of the game. Related to Joy Taylor.
Nephew of a legend in the
nephew
game.
of a legend in the game. I think that he provides some aura to this squad, so we're going to go ahead and get Mason Taylor for our tight end to round out the squad.
nice.
Very nice.
Front seven is the only one I left. I obviously waited on this one a while. I probably would have taken somebody sooner. This would have been. This is a really deep front seven draft, specifically when you're talking about the D line.
Let's see what you got.
What's that?
I sound interested.
Yeah,
to
I
see.
love the
so there's-
interior. I don't
Mhm.
love
I mean, there's some edge guys
Yeah.
that have a lot of like
upside.
their upside. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly my point that I was going to make was that the edge rushers outside of Abdul Carter kind of scare me a little bit just because they're so raw. I mean, there's guys like Shamar Stewart, there's guys like Micah Williams, there's guys
Mike
like
James Pierce.
James Pierce,
Mike
exactly. Who James Pierce right now but might be a second round pick, whereas he was a top 10 guy 2
Talent
months
wise, he's
ago.
right up there with Abdul.
Exactly. Like there's so much parity in the edge rushers that kind of scares me a little bit. I would hate to be a team right now that has to select an edge rusher after pick 3
Yeah.
because it's kind of a crapshoot to be honest with you a little bit.
James Pierce falling to the Eagles, man. It's destiny. And then they're just gonna be like, well, how do we let this? How do we let them do it again?
Yeah. And for me on the inside, there's really 3 guys left that are like top tier for sure first round picks. So obviously you already took Mason Graham. Then you look at guys like Derek Harmon, Kenneth Grant, and who's the kid out of Ole Miss?
Walter Nolan.
Walter Nolan. Thank you.
Walter Nolan.
Yes,
Another
those
guy
are
I've
the
seen
next.
mocked
Yeah,
to
those are the
Ravens.
next three guys that I see there. So I mean, of those three guys, I mean,
I think two of those guys aren't like the other.
Yeah, I mean, I personally am a Kenneth Grant guy myself.
Mhm.
That's where I'm at. Is that like he's a big body. He's a great run stopper. If he wasn't on a team with the best D tackle in this draft, he would probably be a top 10 pick. Like that, he would be in the spot. Take Mason Graham out of this draft. Kenneth Grant could be the fifth. The guy looked at it as the fifth pick, right? Like first four kind of set ish as to who's going there. Fifth pick is Mason Graham. It's like that could be potentially Kenneth Grant. I really like him. I think he has a lot of upside as a run eater, eat up blocks in the middle of the field, but also get you pressure when you need it up the middle.
I think there's work to be done in the pass rush. I think there's a lot of meat on the bone that he can get off. So
Yeah, but I think he's definitely like. I think that he probably falls to. I mean, if he's there at pick 21, I don't think he gets past the Steelers. I think the Steelers are really high on Kenneth Grant. They didn't bring him in for a top 30 visit yet. They still have one left, I think. But I think that I do think that they're really high on him. I don't think he makes it past 21. So I'm going Kenneth Grant.
Good pick.
for secondary, I'm gonna go Xavier Watts over Jade Barron. One of my favorite players over the last decade has been Tyrann Mathieu, just because of his versatility. He can play both safeties, the nickel. Ideally, you don't want him playing boundary corner, but he can do that. I'm just a huge fan of him. The ball skills, like kamikaze style of attacking the football, good tackler. I'm a big fan. He's kind of my Brian Branch, Christian Gonzalez of this year. So I go Xavier Watts.
Good picks.
So
Can
my
do a little team recap.
So my team rounds out as Jackson Dart at quarterback, Travion Henderson at running back, Luther Burden at wide receiver, Tyler Warren at tight end, Will Campbell as the offensive line, Abdul Carter is my front seven player, and then Xavier Watts in the back end.
Yep. I've got Shador Sanders, quarterback in this roster, with Amarian Hampton and Travis Hunter and Mason Taylor as our three skills as running back, receiver, tight end. Kelvin Banks shoring up the O-line, Mason Graham in the front seven, and Will Johnson in the secondary.
I have Cam Ward at quarterback, Ashton Genty at running back, Mika Egbuka at wide receiver, Colson Loveland at tight end. O-lineman is Armand Membu. One front seven player is Kenneth Grant, and then my DB is Malachi Starks.
Nice.
I mean, I like my team.
Yeah, I think we all like our teams.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think all of our teams are probably pretty similar as far as ranking.
Yeah,
would
and
go,
I'd say I think we all got the guys that we really wanted for the most part. So it's not like we all got our number one guys in a lot of positions, even though a lot of people have consensus of where they think these people should go. So I mean, I got Shador and I like him the best out of the quarterbacks. You got Travion and you like him the best of the running backs. You got what's his name? Membu, tackle. I think you like him the best out of the tackles. So it's pretty good.
I like it.
I do like it too.
So something we did last year was we did our sleepers the episode before the live stream. It was fun. There were actually some pretty good gems. Me and Cooper were talking about Braylon Allen. Not that Braylon Allen's a superstar, but he was a good find in year one. Cooper said Bo Nix, which I don't think really counts as a sleeper if you're a first-round quarterback who goes 12.
All three of my sleepers turned out pretty well.
Who are they? Remind me.
I had...
Do you have Jaden Daniels?
No, I didn't have Jaden Daniels. That would have been... I'm trying to think. Maybe that was the year before. One of my sleepers last year was obviously JT Sanders, which, say what you want, when he was on the field and not injured, he had a pretty decent season.
Once Bryce Young got subbed back into the lineup,
We
he was really good.
We talked about Luke McCaffrey a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
That was kind of a letdown. You're like, yeah, all three of my
I know.
guys.
I'm trying to think of who they were because I know the previous year, my sleepers or whatever draft we talked about, it was Tariq Woolen, Tyquan Thornton. Like I had the last couple of years, I've had a couple of sleepers too.
Yeah, we're still sleeping on Ty.
We are still sleeping on Tyquan Thornton. Kansas City legend Tyquan Thornton.
He was running snaps
Give
at tight end.
me some of your sleepers, Josie.
Okay. So funny enough, my first sleeper that I had on my list, and it's kind of a weird way to phrase a sleeper, but it's the reason that I have him as a sleeper is because he's been slowly and quietly over the last month and a half been sliding so far
Yeah.
back in the first round. And it's actually somebody that he mentioned earlier, and it's Kelvin Banks Jr.
Yeah.
Kelvin Banks Jr. could potentially be the top tackle in this draft. I think the most recent mock drafts I've seen, multiple, haven't gone 32, haven't gone 31, haven't gone 31 to the Chiefs. It's like, this guy is like a 10-year starter. Like, this guy should be in the top half of the draft, if not in like top 10 consideration. So like, yes, I get that. Like, oh, he's in the sleepers in the first round. Like,
No,
listen, there's gonna be
think,
sleepers in every single round.
I
That's
think
the way
that's,
sleepers work.
Yeah,
He is a first round sleeper.
Yeah, no,
Kelvin Banks Jr. is going to be a 10-year starter in the NFL.
Yeah.
And he's going to be really good.
I agree. I think that, like, when you're talking about sleepers, you have to think about relative to where, like, you might value them to where they might go. And, like, if we value him as, like, a top 10 potential pick and maybe the best tackle, and he's going to be the fourth tackle off the board at the end of the first, early second, like,
Also,
people are sleeping. Huh?
Shout out Bo Nix.
Oh, yeah, shout out Bo Nix. But, like, hey, people are sleeping on him if he's, like, the fourth or fifth tackle in this draft.
My point is, again, there could be 4 tackles taken in the first round, and he might be the fourth of those tackles. A year from now, we're going to look back and be like, man, he should have been the first tackle taken. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
So.
No, I agree. Based on my draft.
Yeah.
I got a few sleepers here. I went mainly offense. Oh, do you have any more?
No, I do, but we can come back around.
Come back around. I have a couple on offense, or a few on offense, one defensive player. I got Isaac Slay. I don't know how you pronounce his name. His last name. Wide receiver from Arkansas. We talked about a prototypical X receiver. I think that this guy is not going to be like, oh my God, he's your number one chalk type receiver, but I think when you pair him up with a nice group of receivers, I think that he could really flourish. He's 6'4", 217, ran a 4.4 40. Like, he has everything you'd want from an X receiver as far as like measurables and what he was able to do at Arkansas. Couple running backs on this list that were probably going to be round 3, round 4 picks. Cam Scatterbo from Arizona State. I feel like he got a lot of hype during the playoff run, but hasn't really been talked about since. Like, this is a guy that anytime he touched the ball, good things happened. Like, they gave Texas hell, and it was Scatterbo. It was Scatterbo. The entire second half, we're catching the ball, running the ball. It was Scatterbo. Mm-hmm. Like, and a lot of people talk about in college too. Like, well, did you do it against good talent? Texas had a lot of good talent on that team. Mm-hmm. So, next guy, brother of someone in the league, Trevor Etienne. Mm-hmm. This guy might be a round 6 pick, but he's just as talented as some of the guys going in the first or second. Now, he's not the tallest guy, but you don't need your running backs to be super tall. 5'9", 205, he's stocky, shifty, ran a 4.4 40. Like, Scatterbo measurables, by the way, started to move at 5'11", 215, 4.6, Peyton Hillis goat. That's what we're talking about here. And then the last guy I've got on my sleeper list is JT Tumalo, the Ohio
JTT.
State. JTT,
Yeah.
The edge rusher from Ohio State. I think a lot of people, like, his upside I think is higher, but I think Jack Sawyer is going to be ready to go in and make not a huge impact, but I think Jack Sawyer is more pro ready. Like, he's just going to be a pro, like, give you 6-7 sacks a year, going to pair nicely with someone. But I think JT has the potential to be a 12 sack a year guy from Ohio State. I think he's listed as like anywhere between like the 10th and 12th best edge in this class, or at least where he's being mocked. But he's 6'5", 270, 4.6 40. Like, and I'm an Ohio State fan, so I watched him a lot. So like, he's just explosive on the team.
That breath is
Yeah, you need to brush your
goodness.
teeth, bro. Naples, I agree on JTT and Etienne in particular. Jack Sawyer is somebody, he scares me. I think he's just a great college football player. His his underbody, so underdeveloped. He's got a little bit of chicken legs going, which scares me as an edge rusher. But I love JTT. Scatterbo I love also. He's another one where I hope I'm wrong, but I feel like we just kind of got caught up in the moment of like, this guy's awesome. He had a really good season, but no, I'm rooting for him. I like it.
Yeah.
Josie, what were some other sleepers for you?
Yeah, so another one I had on there. So first of all, whoever is responsible for allowing Xavier Restrepo to run a 40-yard dash should be fired immediately. Xavier Restrepo is a good receiver. Okay? Xavier Restrepo has a good set of hands. Xavier Restrepo gets open. Whoever let him run a 40-yard dash and potentially making him go undrafted this year should be fired immediately. Terrible decision. Terrible. If you know you're not going to run 4.5 or better as a wide receiver, you need to not run a 40-yard dash. In my opinion. Obviously, I'm not
You mean
in
like
there
Ted
involved with
McMillan?
them. Great. Yeah. Dude, what do you run a 4.62? Like,
Did he run?
I-
I thought he didn't even run.
yeah, he might not have. Yeah.
I think he ran it his pro day.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's like the NFL, in my opinion, values the 40-yard dash probably still too much to this day. I think that game speed and 40-yard dash speed, we mentioned this earlier, are completely different. And if you turn on the tape, Xavier Restrepo, didn't he lead the FBS in receptions this season or something like that?
I think so, and then he's Miami's all-time leading receiver.
Yeah, it's like
Ahead of Andre Johnson, Reggie Wayne. I
Yeah.
get it with
Yeah.
NIL and COVID. Like, he was probably in school a lot longer than
Yeah.
those guys, but
Yeah.
Should he be a first-round pick? No. Should he be a second-round pick? No. Should he be a third-round pick? Probably not. But a fifth-round pick
yeah.
on Xavier Restrepo,
Take a
he
flyer on
should
him.
not go undrafted. That's what I'm putting.
Yeah.
And like his draft grade right now is undrafted. That's ludicrous to think about that. I think Xavier Restrepo is not going to be a number 1 wide receiver. He might not even be a number 2 wide receiver, but he could be a decent enough slot. He could be Hunter Renfrow for sure. He could be Hunter Renfrow. Like, I just think that he could fill a hole for a team when you take him late enough, and you know what I'm saying. So I think
Is he the smaller receiver? Is he
Yeah.
like 5'10"?
yeah. I mean, 5'10's not. I mean, it's small
Might
for
be
professional
smaller.
sports.
That's what I'm
He
saying.
might be
Smaller.
smaller than 5'10", even.
Yeah,
he might be
I'd-
like
I'd-
5'9".
Yeah, which I mean,
But he
to be
played
fair,
very well.
Antonio Brown was 5'10" with shoes on, but he's also not going to be Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
So,
Well, who knows?
yeah. And then my other
We
one,
do. We do.
do we? We do.
Did we know Antonio Brown was going to be Antonio Brown before he was? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. The Steelers did. That's why they took him in the 6th round.
Hey, that's why they took him in the 6th round. That's why every other team, including them, passed until the 6th.
Yeah.
Buffalo was going to draft him with their next pick. They were
Mm.
bummed.
Last guy I had was another wide receiver. Shocker. Is a guy who was, if I remember correctly, like during the season was kind of being looked at as like maybe a late 1st round, maybe an early 2nd round pick. Guy at Ole Miss, Trey Harris. I saw him early on, kind of mocked to like end of the 1st round type teams that were looking for somebody. If you look at his stats throughout the years that he played. I mean, so he started at Louisiana Tech. He was kind of a reserve to start, but he played in 12 games. He had 40 receptions for 562 yards, 4 touchdowns. He was a first-team All-Conference USA in his 3rd year. He had 935 receptions on 935 receiving yards on 65 receptions, 10 receiving touchdowns. Okay, then he transfers to Ole Miss. His 1st year, he has 985 receiving yards on 54 receptions, 8 receiving touchdowns. Played in 12 games. This last year, he missed 5 games. He only played in 8 total games. He had 60 receptions and 1,030 receiving yards. He had his best year in a year that he missed 5 games. And yes, say like, oh, he played with a guy who's a borderline 1st round, 2nd round quarterback. I think that Trey Harris is severely underrated. Again, you look at the 40-yard dash, it was 4.54. Teams are going to look at that and be like, oh man, I can't waste a 3rd round pick on a guy who ran a 4.54. It's like, yeah, I think he definitely
You
can.
think he's there in the 3rd?
No, but I'm just saying, like, hypothetically, like, in that situation, like, his vertical's 38 and a half. Like, that's plenty good enough. That's almost 40-inch vertical. And then you look at his broad jump being 10.5. It's like, he's got athleticism, he got size. He's 6'2". He's 205.
Yeah.
He has kind of smallish hands, 9 5/8. So it's not tiny, but it's also not like, it's not D-Hop, right?
Yeah.
So I just think that Trey Harris is going to be a good wide receiver in the NFL. So it should probably be looked at as a late 2nd round, early 3rd round pick. So that's where I'm at.
I think he sneaks into the 1st.
Trey Harris.
I think he's.
Well.
I think that's his
Doubt
ceiling
it.
with.
Well, so on NFL.com, their prospect grade is 6.3. Will eventually be plus starter, and he only got a 79 grade at.
What
from
does a
Next Gen Stats.
6.3 grade? Like, what's that equivalent to? Like, what's Tet as like
Six
the
point-
no-brainer 1st rounder?
Let me find out.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Just-
No, that's a
I
good
just
question.
didn't know what that
That's-
number
That's a
meant.
good question.
While he's looking that up, another running back sleeper. I had to pull up his name because I forgot what it was. That's how slept on he is. Is running back from Miami, Damian Martinez. I think that's another guy that's going to be consummate pro, going to be in the league for a while. Like he's another guy that does it all. Did really well for the Canes this year, and his running mate who was a sophomore this past year, the Fletcher kid. He's gonna be really good too. Look out for him next year.
The running back that I kind of like as a sleeper, RJ Harvey at a UCF. This guy's a little jitterbug. We were talking about Ashton Genty as a ball of muscle. That's this guy. He's a smaller ball of muscle, granted, but also the agility is also much higher, being that tiny. Big fan of his. I think that he comes out probably in the third or fourth.
Ted McMillan, his prospect gain's only 6.4.
Yeah.
So
He's only 0.1 higher, but
yeah.
his next gen stats jumps up 6 points. He's at 85 in next gen stats.
And what source is this? ESPN?
This is NFL.com.
Okay.
And his
Yes, he got a video.
there's a video on there. There's something else I saw. Obviously, he's 6'4", 220. His hand size, okay, he's only got 10-inch hands, so it's not like that much bigger than Trey Harris. But his total score, like I said, was he was the second ranked wide receiver at the combine with a total score of 85.
Who was the first? Travis Hunter?
Questions? He didn't compete at the combine.
Oh, that's right.
He
Do I
didn't
ask a
combine.
lot of questions?
Yes.
All right.
Is Luther Burden the first ranked receiver?
Another
Burden the third.
Another sleeper, Gavin Bartholomew at a Pitt. This guy, as a Pitt fan, I was scared every year that this guy was going to transfer because he was never as involved in the offense as he should be. It's rare to see a tight end be your best offensive player, and that's what Bartholomew was every year after Kenny Pickett and Jordan Addison left. We're talking like only 20 catches a season, but when he got the ball in his hands, he would do something special. Contrast that to what Penn State did with their best player being their tight end. They found every way imaginable to getting him the ball. Bartholomew, for sure, going to be a day 3 guy. I think that he's worthy of a third rounder. The fact that you're going to be able to get him in the 6th, maybe even 7th, is ridiculous. I mentioned some of the wide receivers that I like almost just as much. Kyle Williams out of Washington State. Tez Johnson out of Oregon's an interesting one. He's on 170 pounds soaking wet. So do I think he's going to be good? Do I think he's going to make it? No. But do I want him to make it? Yes. Felt like I needed to include that because like a couple
Did you
of
say
years,
Tez Johnson? Is that what you said?
like there are guys who I don't think are going to be good, but I'm going to root for them. I want them to be good. Kim Scatteraboo, obviously, in there. Another guy, Willie Lampkin, a 5'11", 270-pound guard for North Carolina, third-team All-ACC. Do I think that's anywhere close to being big enough to be an NFL lineman, even as a backup? No. But also, it would be sick to see somebody so tiny, both in height and weight, make it. And then the final one, this one, kind of more of an iffy one as a sleeper, though. Quinn Ewers, I feel like the fact that he's going to go in the 3rd or 4th round is crazy, considering last year he would have been
number 1.
He would have been the 13th overall pick at worst, because the Raiders are going to pick him. And then you can make the argument that maybe a team likes him over Bo Nix
or
Penix. Yeah. So the fact that 1 year where he was super hurt and couldn't throw a football as hard as he could, and he's dropping 3 rounds in a class that supposedly is a weaker quarterback class, which I'm not necessarily a believer in. I think that there are a lot of quarterbacks who are capable. I don't know. I think that he could be a very good steal as long as he's in the right situation.
Yeah. I've heard that teams are higher on Quinn Ewers than fans are. Is what I've heard. Not that he's going to sneak into the 2nd round or something like that. But like
first,
teams,
someone trades up, gets him at the end of the first.
They might as in like they might. People might trade into the end of the 2nd round to take Quinn Ewers.
Which I think he's worthy of that. I mean, I think fans don't love him because he can't move as much. And that is like the knock.
Which is why they like Jalen Milroe.
It's because he's not Arch.
I mean, that's true.
That's also
They've been calling for his head since they got Arch,
Yeah.
to be fair. Update. It looks like, actually, according to the grades, that Teddy Romo was a 3rd ranked wide receiver in the combine. Luther Burden was number 1 and Matthew Golden was number 2. But very close. Luther Burden scored a 6.43. Matthew Golden scored a 6.42. And then Ted was a 6.40, I think, is what I remember seeing.
Nice.
So, yeah.
If you're not Travis Hunter, don't draft one in the first.
And obviously Travis Hunter was not included in that.
Yeah.
He was he got a 6.89 and he's a cornerback slash wide receiver. They had cornerback first. Interesting.
I think that all depends on what team he goes to and what. Now, I think I'm a big believer. I don't know if you guys are saying that he is going to play both sides of the ball, and I don't think it's going to be just a sprinkle, like he plays 10 snaps. Like I think he's going to play both sides pretty good. I think it'll be a nice mix. I think it'll probably be like a 60-40% split between what like the team needs more. I don't think he'll play every snap.
I think
But-
that just holds you back, though. Like
Does it?
having it, yeah, you can't be the best wide receiver possible or the best cornerback possible if you're playing that much on the other
But
side of the ball.
He was in college. He was the best.
Colorado's so much different.
He was.
than-
It is different, but he was the best receiver and the best corner, playing every snap. And I think he made a really good point too, that like, there's not as many snaps in an NFL game as there is college. So like the stamina factors, and now
You're gonna get a lot
the
more
hits
beat
are
up.
the hits are harder in the NFL for sure.
It's also harder to get open, so it's going to take you more effort
for sure.
on your. It's going to take you more efforts on your route. It's going to take you more efforts on your footwork, different things like that. Yeah, I mean,
The
there are
story's
very
amazing.
few-
It just can't happen.
Yeah,
It could.
there are very few
Could be the first.
wide receivers in the NFL that play 100% of snaps. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's where I'm at with it. It's like, okay, well, you look at their packages, right? Like even last year, like George Pickens was getting subbed out like constantly. Like they're getting other guys in there. They're throwing in packages. They're doing 3 tight end, 1 wide receiver. Like in those type of situations, like Travis Hunter's offensive snaps are going to go down. So you look at it on the opposite side of the ball. It's like, well, most DBs play 95% of snaps in the game, especially if you don't have any depth there. So I mean, I know at least opposite of what you think, and maybe opposite of what you think. I think he's my starting corner, and he plays packages on offense. That's where I'm at. And then you pay him like what he is, which is an anomaly. You don't pay him as a wide receiver.
Pay
You
him
don't
like
pay him as a
Taysom Hill.
corner.
Other teams
You
doing
pay him
that,
as a
though.
Pay him
pay
like
him as
Taysom
an
Hill.
anomaly.
But Le'Veon Bell made the same argument a decade ago. I'm the
And
number
the
2
Steelers
wide
didn't pay him,
receiver.
but they should have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Should they?
If
I mean,
he's the
that-
number 2 wide,
He was
he
not
didn't
the
even play in the
number 2
slot.
wide
Yeah, he was. He was.
He was. He definitely
Well, in terms
Dude,
of like
if you
catching
wa-
out of the backfield, but if he lined up and ran routes in slot,
He
I don't-
did.
He did.
but I mean like full time.
They had D'Angelo Williams there.
But I'm
Yeah,
saying
he-
full time slot
Dude,
receiver, he
listen.
wouldn't have done.
He had more. He had about 40 more catches than anybody and about
All right, well
200
then that
more
goes.
yards.
All right, well then you agree with that. Then you
If
agree
you-
that Le'Veon
If you
Bell
want to
should
see
be-
how good of a wide receiver he was, go back and
No,
watch the
because it
playoff
doesn't
game against
last. It's
Jacksonville.
not sustainable.
The playoff game against Jacksonville, he ran a route, I think it was from the slot, and caught a touchdown pass over AJ Boye, who at
Yeah, it
the
was a
time
fake.
was
He
a
caught
top
fake.
10
It
corner
was-
in the league. Like,
Yeah.
it was the most insane thing I've ever seen a running back do. Le'Veon Bell could 100% have been a wide receiver.
So Travis Hunter goes to the Browns while Joe Flacco's making an adjustment on the sideline. Travis Hunter's playing DB, so instead of getting on the same page with Joe Flacco, he's going to be gassed and getting beat.
He don't get gassed. Have you seen him?
Naples, it's so much different than
Dude, all I'm saying is there has never
he's not playing
been
Colorado State.
there has never been another Travis Hunter. So you can't say that it won't happen.
And the alternative is he's on the sideline talking about Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco throws a pick 6 instead. That's the alternative. So, because the Browns is the Browns.
I'm telling you, it can't. It doesn't work.
Could though. I wouldn't be so sure to bet against him.
So what about players that play special teams? Because then you go out there and your team scores a touchdown, and then instead of digging into the video on the sideline, you're out there returning the kick.
Kick returners and punt returners. AB Patrick Peterson just retired.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as those guys became elite at their actual position, they were no longer returning because it's not worth it. If the risk isn't worth it for a quick little return, then the risk isn't worth it for throwing him out there for 100% of the game.
Yeah, but
Tyreek Hill still would return kicks occasionally, not full time. Debo
I think
Samuel
I
returned
think
a
he
ton
did.
of
I think
kicks
he
this
did
season.
punts more than kick. Or are you just saying in general? Because I think Tyreek just did punts. He didn't do
Yeah.
kickoffs. Like, I think he
would
was
you, would
still
you argue Tyler Lockett was never elite? Tyler Lockett returned kicks basically his whole career. He was
He
a
is
first team All Pro.
definitely
in
at least
his rookie
definitely
season
at least a
for
top
being a returner.
at least a top number 2 receiver.
Yeah, I would say Tyler Lockett was elite
Yeah.
at some point in his career.
Yeah.
You don't think he was elite?
I love him, but what does is elite top 10?
No.
Well, then
I don't, no.
Elite is subjective. You can't put a top number on it.
I
in
think
my
he was,
opinion.
but I think for what he was asked to do, he was elite at it.
Tyreek Hill does not have a single kick return or punt return yard since 2020 and 2019. And at both of those, he had 1 return but 0 yards. 2018 was the last year he was a returner.
Well,
Well,
I don't know what you want me to say. I think Travis Hunter is going to be amazing at both sides of the ball. And guess what?
I hope you're right because
And
I
guess-
really like him. But
And
also,
guess what?
I'm a
There's
real-
huddles. He don't need to be on the side. If he sees something on offense, like, hey, Joe, this is what I'm seeing. Throw me the ball. Throw me the ball.
It'll be interesting.
Maybe it'll be Tyler Shock.
Yikes.
I hate life.
Love it. Love that.
All right, so stay tuned for next week's live
Yes.
mock draft. It's going to be 7 o'clock. I'm feeling more and more sure about that time. The return of Eli and Cooper. And then that's it, right? I'm not missing somebody because no Hunter.
Yeah.
And then us three, obviously. We're going to do that. I'm going to be assigning them teams probably later here tonight. Obviously, you know that Naples has the Browns, Josie has the Steelers. You'll know who their other few teams are. Stay up to date on TikTok at I am Hayden S. Ford. We've been doing redrafts. We're right now on the 2015 redraft. I've been having some fun with those.
No.
I would like to get probably to 2004 by draft season.
Nice.
So by next week. So yeah,
Sweet.
stay up to date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Save the date. Somebody getting
Right,
married.
it was empty. Yeah. Max and Aaliyah.
There you go.
This has been the Second Short Podcast. We'll see you next time.